Warning, Beastlord sword approaching.
Welcome back. Today I'll be making a commission of this prop. The prop I'll be making for the next couple of weeks is from one of my favourite games of Nier, Automata, and probably one of the coolest buster longswords you'd probably call it in the entire game, what I do enjoy using, as you can tell from the gameplay shown before. The client who commissioned me for this one needs it for an up-and-coming con called PixelCon here in Perth, Western Australia, so let's get into it. Now I'm going to move on to showing you how I will make the file for the CNC cutout. It first started off with the blank canvas, then moving into talking to the client about 2B's actual size, to the actual size of the prop, to what the client is, her size, and then the restrictions of the size to the con, what was about 2.5 for PixelCon coming up. And then from there I did a quick sort of cut out what would be sent to my CNC to cut this shape out. If you don't have a CNC, this is easy enough on a bandsaw, jigsaw, knife, but since I have it there, it can do it pretty damn fast. So, the next step is to glue it together using this. It's the only one I found so far where it actually doesn't melt the blue foam, so I'm going to do that. Don't forget to use protection. This is a bit overkill for what I'm going to use it for, but it's pretty good to have. Once you've sprayed your foam, you are now just waiting for 5 to 30 minutes depending on what temperature. Like in the workshop right now, it's freezing cold, so it's going to take a while, but once that's done we can press these two together and hopefully get a good solid bond. So after it's been glued together, you might notice that some bits don't really join together very well, and that's probably just because you didn't hit the edge properly like I did. So what you can do is just grab the same adhesive, open that up with proper respirator and airflow. Just give it a slight spray. Try and get it in there, then wedge the two bits together, maybe support it a little bit better than I am, and then if you do, you can put a heavier object on it to kind of cement it down further, but it's only very light foam and it wants to attract each other with the bond. Then yeah, keep doing that for all of the rest of the seams what are unhappy and don't want to stick together. So, after all the sanding and checking if all the burrs are off, I'm now going to kind of eyeball where my bevels need to go. Kind of see how that goes. I'm also kind of checking on with a reference I have a bit off screen at the moment, just to see if it's kind of fitting in where I want it. Yeah, that's feeling correct. Just to match my image a little bit more, I'm just going to do something like that. See how that feels? Yeah, something like that. I'll just continue to do that on the other side. So I've just gotten to this point, remembered I forgot to put a tape line down so I don't go over center, because that would be pretty bad not to have a very straight sword. Kind of just center, and there we go. Nice little mark so I don't go over it. And that's one side done. Now I just need to fix a few things what kind of happened at the edges of the blade, and a few cleanups, but continue into the next side. So after sanding, there's quite a few defects I have to clean up, especially with some edges, especially like on this side where I lost the edge, but I'm going to be using this guy. Just basic multi-purpose filler to kind of smoothen out the blade a little bit before I start adding random texture. I'm now going to move on to the blade guard using slightly thicker blue foam. I think it's, actually it's about 30mm thick. I'll kind of lift up the blade a little bit more. I'm going to do about 35 each way. Then when they get cut out, a bunch of this chain wraps around. See how that goes. So now move on to cutting out the guard sections and pretty much all the details after this. So I need to mark up about 35, what my measurement for the scale I'm working at, and I'll need to cut out 4 of those. So I'm switching up a little bit because I'm going to use my router to put 45 cuts on the ends, what are in the actual sword themselves, and then cut the straight using my bandsaw or possibly my trusty knife over here. So they're both cut out now. Should be enough to get around the full sword, hopefully. I think, or I might need to cut some more out. But now I'm just going to cut these down to size. Next up, I need to glue every one of these where I can, and then after that, I did this a bit off camera, but I need to start cutting out these side sections, more bevels to match the sides, and then it will be more filling. Now that's one done, now I just have to do one for each side. I'm now just sanding the next lot of grooves into the sword. Now that the sword's all filled, I'm going to be moving on to the handle. So I need to start 3D modeling some pieces and then 3D printing them and then post-process after that. So I'll see you when I get there. Part 1 of printing completed. Now on to removing all of the support materials and sanding away any imperfections, little ridges to make those nice and smooth, and then attach them to the actual handle of the prop. So we'll get to that. And there we go. Not 100% yet, but getting close. Probably another 30 minutes of sanding and a few coats of filler primer. I'll be able to get it looking pretty smick before gluing it to our lovely sword base. And then I'll be able to move on to a few more texturing and a few more little details, and then move on to part 2 of 3D printing. Having some problems trying to get your 3D prints to fit around specific piping and stuff. I like to just put a chamfer onto my entries to get it kind of started. So let's hope that works out. Now I'm going to be inserting each individual piece as we go along. Needs a little bit of persuasion because I made it a bit of a too tight of a tolerance, but oh well. Let's see how this goes. That worked pretty well. Very happy of how that all turned out. Good to grip. As you'll probably noticed, why there's a little slice here, I couldn't get it on, so I had to slice it down the middle to fit better. But then I tried something I saw once was take a heat gun, heat only the inside of the pipe, so put the heat gun at the end of the pipe and heat down, then it slid on perfectly. Now that's done, it's time to stick it all onto the sword. Next up, we're going to start texturing the sword to look like wrought iron. A few good ways to do that is with a base texturing with a heat gun, and then applying a coat of any type of white glue. The one I have is just normal PVA for wood. And then a tester I made a bit earlier was combining all of these three to kind of create this with a bit of cotton balls. Ones will look like this, kind of dabbing it all over the surface to kind of give it texture and raised bumpiness. So I'll see you when I get back from there.